Imagine a scenario where hundreds of foreign-born criminals who have been living on Australian streets are suddenly being removed from the country in a massive operation. This isn't just a hypothetical situation, it's happening right now. But here's where it gets controversial. These individuals aren't heading back to their home countries. Instead, they are being sent to a small Pacific island nation called Nauru. Thanks to a $400 million deal struck by Australia's Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke. On a Friday afternoon, Minister Burke made an announcement that he had formally met with Nauru's president, David Adang, and his cabinet. Together, they signed a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, which outlines that Nauru will take in members of what is known as the NZYQ cohort. Now, you might be wondering, who exactly are the NZYQ? Well, this group refers to approximately 350 foreign-born criminals who were released from detention centers after a pivotal High Court ruling in November 2023. The court found that holding non-citizens in indefinite detention was unconstitutional, unless there was a clear plan for their removal from Australia. Among this group are convicted murderers, pedophiles, and others who refuse to return to their countries of origin, leaving authorities scrambling for a solution. One particularly shocking case highlights why this issue has sparked so much public concern. In Perth, a 73-year-old grandmother named Nanette Simons became the victim of a violent attack. Her attackers left her face bloody and bruised and stole $200,000 worth of possessions from her and her husband. One of the alleged culprits, Majid Jamshidi Dukashkan, was part of the cohort released last year. Stories like this add fuel to the fire when debating how to handle such dangerous individuals. In a brief but telling statement, Minister Burke emphasized that anyone without a valid visa should leave the country, a principle he described as a fundamental element of a functioning visa system. According to his office, Nauru has agreed to provide long-term residence to those who no longer have any legal right to stay in Australia. To fund this arrangement, Australia will pay Nauru $408 million up front, followed by an additional $70 million annually to cover ongoing costs. These payments will commence once the first individual arrives on the island. But this move hasn't come without criticism, and this is the part most people miss. Green Senator David Shoebridge took to social media platform X, formerly Twitter, to slam the decision, accusing the Albanese government of attempting to push the deal through quietly on a Friday afternoon. He argued that removing the right to natural justice, which ensures fair hearings, reflects how far-right and toxic Labour's immigration policies have become. Shoebridge also raised concerns about the broader implications for Australia's relationships in the Pacific region, stating, "At a time when you should be building partnerships based on equality and respect, the government is turning our smaller neighbors into 21st-century prison colonies." Minister Burke defended the changes as the final step needed to resolve the NZYQ issue. He assured the public that all affected individuals would have already gone through extensive processes, including visa applications, merits reviews, judicial reviews, and opportunities for ministerial intervention. However, not everyone agrees with his assessment. Opposition leader Susan Ley criticized the legislation as rushed, secretive, and chaotic. During a press conference earlier this week, Shadow Home Affairs Minister Andrew Hastie went even further, labeling the entire process as shambolic. He pointed out that this marks the 5th time Labour has introduced emergency legislation to address its own mismanagement of the NZYQ crisis. So what does this mean for Australia's immigration system moving forward? Is outsourcing the responsibility of housing foreign-born criminals to another nation truly the best solution? Or does this approach risk damaging diplomatic ties and undermining human rights? These questions remain open for debate, and perhaps you have thoughts of your own. Do you think this deal strikes the right balance between protecting Australian citizens and respecting international norms? Share your perspective in the comments below.